Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to askNK. Today is more like a clarification video that we're going to be making, and this has to do with one of the most recent video which I just uploaded, which is actually Ecycles versus Blender, the whole cycle thing. And a lot of you guys are enraged about it. You're kind of saying, you know, you didn't show us the process, there's a lot of things happening behind the scene. Maybe it's a sponsored video, maybe it's a, you know, a paid video. And none of that is true. First of all, the video wasn't sponsored, it wasn't paid for. Yes, I did get a copy of the pro version of Ecycles from the creator. Kind of spoke with him, told him I needed the pro version. He was, you know, generous enough to give it to me, and then I went through with this and made the video for you guys. Now, the backstory about this was this video was supposed to be up sometime in September 2020, but for some reason I was pretty busy with work, I was busy with school, I was moving apartments, and I was not able to actually make this video. So sometime in March, saw it one more time, decided to try it, play with it, and especially when he made the light version $1, you know, I felt a bit more intrigued by it. I really wanted to play with it and see what it looks like. And afterwards I, you know, thought about it and said maybe I should give it a shout out so that you guys could actually see what it does. And the whole idea for the video wasn't to spend so much time trying to talk about the tool. I just wanted to be very direct with you guys, tell you about, okay, this is this tool and this is what I found out about it. You know, do a couple of comparisons between cycles and also between Ecycles. And you know, I also did go ahead to talk to you guys about it, say this is something that works with your GPU. And just to clarify a couple of things, this works more when you have a very good RTX card. I do have an RTX 5000, and for that you will definitely see probably a better performance. If you do have a GTX, I've never tried it on a GTX before. Of course, I do have like a 1060 GTX somewhere. I'll probably, you know, plug it to a PC and try it, but I haven't tried that before. So if you have maybe like a GTX, try it out. Tell me what you think about it. For those who have an AMD, I am not sure if this is ever going to work for you guys. So it is just very clear that Ecycles does have something that it offers. So for those videos, there is also something else I think is also cool to clear out. Most of you guys were talking about the tiling, that maybe the tiling was made bigger, it was made smaller, you probably didn't fix your tiling well or something. All tiling was the same. It's just that Ecycles does have a couple of things or a couple of settings that are there by default that actually takes a look at the tiling and chooses, okay, it chooses by default to either make the tiling size smaller or bigger. Now for the comparison clips you guys will be seeing while I run through the entire video is this, that for several locations I would go over and actually make the same tiling size with what you can get with Blender's default cycles, and Ecycle would actually go back and forth and tile this thing smaller. And if I turn off all of the settings, I'll also do a second render so that you guys can see what it looks like with the original and also with the optimized version. Now I also went ahead to crank up the setting to high quality, which is mostly like ×2 of what Blender has. So just to give you a variation, or you know, just to give you an idea of how much speed you can get. So one more time, this isn't a paid video, or the previous video wasn't a paid video. The previous video as well wasn't a sponsored video, okay? So it's just out of the way. Yes, I do have an affiliate, or should I call it a referral link, and it's totally up to you guys, okay? It's totally up to you guys to click on that link and maybe support askNK or something. But for most of the channel videos that you've seen, most of them have relatively little or nothing to do with the developer. And something else is I basically try these tools more and more and more, try them as much as I can before I actually make a video for you guys. And that's why for most of the videos you get to see, I simply go back and forth, talk to you guys on how to get started with it and also how to accomplish something at the end of the day. Meanwhile, I think this is like the best time to educate a couple of you guys about the huge differences between NVIDIA cards. So for NVIDIA cards, there's a couple of card lineup that they have, and you would probably see RTX this, RTX that, but for the most cases, the Quadro cards are built for CG artists, persons that would like to get good renders, and you know, you like getting good ray tracing, right? You would need a Quadro card. Now I know lots of you guys probably have like a GeForce and you know, you're flexing that GeForce, but there's a big difference between when you're dealing with a GeForce and when you're dealing with a Quadro. And probably, I guess that's one of the biggest problems most people would run into when they use tools like the Ecycles, or maybe when they use tools like Unreal Engine, and they don't get exactly the kind of performance that persons using Quadro cards will be getting. So I reached out to the folks at NVIDIA and they sent me this, and it's actually something that I'm going to keep on the screen for a while so that you guys can see it. So Quadro RTX are basically for creators, and while the other one, which is the GeForce, is specifically made for persons that just want to get good visuals, especially for gaming and all that stuff. I'm also going to put this link in the description so that just in case you want to read the huge difference between Quadro versus GeForce, you can, you know, you can take advantage of this, you know, use this period and learn something from this. So GeForce basically is for gamers, so it's built specifically mostly actually for gamers. It's important to note that GeForce is made to give gamers the best possible visual experience while gaming. All right, so it's important to note that this is why GeForce is made. So most of the times it's very important to not confuse these two together. Now Quadro on the other hand is more like a jack of all trades. So right here it says that, however, it's fair to say that its best use would be in the field of design and visualization. All right, so just in case, all right, just in case you have like a 2080, maybe that's a GeForce, and I'm telling you like I'm using an RTX, which is a Quadro, then you can see there's a huge discrepancies which you would notice. So if you do have a GeForce, please, your render time might be influenced. I don't know, I don't have a GeForce, so I'm just putting this on the table just in case. You know, most of you guys would have like high performance cards, but they're all GeForces, probably not be getting exactly the same results that someone who's using a lower end Quadro card might be getting. And it's very cool to just put these ones out there for you guys to see. And yes, the reason why I kind of opened this page is most of you guys have said that what is an RTX 5000? We've never seen it before. This is an RTX 5000. all right, you can take a look at the spec sheet. I'm going to put this one in the description as well so that you can see it. So it's a pretty cool card for anyone who would like to get stuff like this. Of course, there's a lot of cool ones out there that you can check out, so you can actually go ahead, check out a couple of stuff that they have here, and take a look at these things for yourself. So I just wanted to clear some of these things out so that you guys can be in the knowing. So if you're into GPU rendering, I would suggest, if you want to get an NVIDIA card, take a look at the Quadro. If you're into gaming, you want to get an NVIDIA card, take a look at the GeForce. All right, so I think that's enough schooling for a day. And with a simple spec sheet like this, let me simply go back and show you guys that. So with a simple spec sheet like this, you can tell by simply using apps like the Cartier app from these folks, and also using SolidWorks and probably Siemens, you can see that if you have an RTX 2070 2080 Ti, these, all right, these are GeForce cards, and 5000 is way above what you have. All right, you can see that here, way above what you have. You can see that here, way above what you have. So it's just something to keep in mind. And while we're talking about the graphic card and, you know, things to consider, Ecycles just finished rendering this particular scene with the exact setting that you can get once you download this, using GPU, the very same setting, using optics for 7 minutes and 2 seconds, which is pretty nice. So we're going to go over to Ecycles right now, set it back to optics, you know, set it to optics, which is something you can get by default. Go over to where we have that setting, and for this setting I'm just going to go ahead and crank this one up. All right, I'm just going to go ahead, crank it up and set it to high quality, because why I'm setting it this way is, first of all, in terms of the settings which we're going to get for the lights is going to be 2 times more. Okay, so we're using optics, we're using the very same setting, and for the tiling we are also using the tiling. Of course, I would actually go back and take off all the settings for the auto tiling, but we're going to do a first render so that you guys can see what it looks like once you just punch in cycles in. I mean, once you're just working with Ecycles, and you can also see that we have exactly the same setting with Blender default, and also, you know, with Ecycles. So I'm just going to let this one be, go all the way to render, hit the render button, and allow this one start rendering. So while this one is rendering, okay, there is also something else that I think you guys should also think about whenever you are doing your rendering or whenever you want to get a graphic card. As much as your CPU is very, very important, if you would be using your GPU a lot, think about the VRAM that you'll be getting. So the VRAM also plays a huge role, okay? It plays a huge role, and these are things that you need to consider before you get a graphic card. You could get like a 1060 like a previous one I had, and you can get in like 4 gig, okay? That's not bad. I also got another 1060 that has a 6 gig. So depending on the gigabyte that you have, the performance might be better. All right, so first things to keep in mind, the card that you have. Next thing which you need to keep in mind is how many VRAM memory you have, and all the things, they all contribute and they play a huge role when choosing a graphic card. So these are some of the things that I think that most of you guys are probably not informed about, okay? And yeah, you can get a good CPU, that's fine. You can get a wonderful hard drive. If you get like an M.2 hard drive, that would be pretty cool. And yeah, so these are things that I think you should consider. And right now you'd also notice that Ecycles actually went back, forced the tiles, made it smaller. So for this particular thing, or for this particular video, I'm going to do a test of 2 scenes and allow you guys take a look at it and judge these things for yourself. So this is, you know, this is more like it. For those who like to stay through to the end of the video and see all of these things play out, it's going to be awesome to actually see that you guys can be a bit patient and see it for yourself. For those who have questions, and maybe if there's something I probably did wrong, or probably I didn't capture the essence, you can also go over to the comment section and tell me about it. I think one of the main reasons why I kind of wrapped up the video really quick was I did see that it was at 0.70 something, and I felt maybe some people could take advantage of the fact that the folks at Blender Market were doing the 25% off and grab it. But either ways, tell me what you guys think about it. Stick around to the end of the video, watch the comparison. And for those who are asking for K-Cycles, I'm yet to message the developer. I'll probably message the developer today, tomorrow, someday, and see if I can lay my hands on K-Cycles and also do a comparison between the both of them. It's just, you know, it's just there. So you want to use Ecycles or even Cycles by default, I would suggest that you get a Quadro RTX. Don't just get any RTX. I would, you know, simply advise get a Quadro RTX, please. And yeah, I don't know what the pricing looks like right now. And I think it's also something that has to do with misinformation, right? And sometimes I get to also get misinformed about certain things, and probably I'll go over to the comment section and, you know, correct those things. And I think it's something I would potentially suggest to the developer, and potentially suggest to anyone within the community, that when they talk about stuff like this, they probably should be a bit more streamlined. I haven't tried this with the GeForce, I'm only using this with the Quadro, and I kind of believe that since the GeForce is specifically made for gamers, most people using the GeForce to test this thing might not get as good of a result that we would probably get when using a Quadro card. And by just simply looking at this, and while we're just talking about this stuff right now, you can also see that Ecycles is done. All right, it's done with this, and it finished it up at 4 minutes and 8 seconds, which is pretty nice. Looking at the both of them together, like I talked about in the previous video, there is literally no difference. I can't really spot a difference with the two of them looking at them from this point, I guess, except maybe you want to go in and start looking for pixels. You probably not see anything. And taking a look at the tiles again within the performance tab, you'd also notice that it is exactly the same thing. So what are we going to do next? What we're going to do next is to simply go over to, you know, the threads, go over to the tiles, just simply make sure everything is there. But I think for the next scene, or you know, for the next render, we will need to take off the auto tiles and also take off the auto tiles order so that we can get those big buckets and have those renders happening. So right now we're going to hit render button with the same settings, optics, and we would allow Ecycles do its business. So you know, just like we were talking about before, simply consider all of these things before you start getting into your rendering. By default, if you just want to simply work with Eevee, of course Eevee is amazing, you can use it. But if you're looking for something that deals with custom build render stuff like this, or maybe you want to use something like Octane, which is also a very good one, and you know, maybe you want to use like the K-Cycles, which I kind of believe, I've not used it yet, which I kind of believe that it also would rely on your RTX card. I think getting a good RTX card alongside getting you know, like a good hard drive, a very good memory, I think these things would come in pretty handy. So with the big buckets going on here, which is the 256 by 256 tiling, you can actually see that Ecycles is chopping this thing really quick. So I don't think this other render is going to take up to, I don't think it's going to take up to 4 minutes. You know, the last one took 4 minutes because it was quite small. So I think these big ones are going to take less time to actually finish. One more thing before we go is, by no means am I compelling or simply pushing an agenda for you guys to get these things, right? So my role is get these things over to you guys, do the review on behalf of you, so that you don't necessarily need to go ahead and buy it before you see how it works or even play with it. So that's like the main idea for these things. And I think maybe from time to time I may make a couple of sit down videos like this, where maybe something's just going to be playing on the screen and I will just talk over it and we can have a conversation, right? And with this said, try as much as possible, review all of the necessary things you need to do before you purchase an add-on, okay? Before you purchase anything, please make sure you have reviews. Weigh your options properly. If you have the bulk, do get them. I'll always put links in the description. I'll do my best actually to put links in the description so that you don't necessarily need to search for these things. And something else is, tools like Ecycles would come in very handy for those who already have facilities that supports these things. All right, that's one thing. So if you're comfortable working in Eevee, simply stick to Eevee. Do the best you can. Eevee is getting better. Do the best you can. And if you probably have like all of these infrastructures, you're working in a, you know, in a small studio, you're working with cycles, and you have like Quadro cards, you want to get something faster, try out a couple of options. Ecycles is just one of those options. Try it out, see what works for you before you commit into, you know, purchasing anything or sticking to any long-term relationship with any tool or any add-on. All right, so these are a couple of things which I would, you know, simply go back and forth and talk to you guys about. And yeah, that is going to be more like it. So for anyone who would like to simply take a look at this, you want to see some of the videos on their page, you want to go over to Blender Market, see some of those things, link is going to be in the description. You want to see the RTX card which I'm using, you want to see the spec sheet, link to that is also going to be in the description, so you can do it and check that one out. And that is more like it. And while we're still having this conversation, Ecycles finished this at 3 minutes and 28 seconds, the same exact setting, nothing different. Okay, so the next thing which we're going to try out while I let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening or enjoy the rest of your day is the BMW scene. Okay, so the BMW scene is the next one which we're going to take a look at. And by just simply looking at what Cycles is giving us, and you know, with the whole big bucket thing of 256 and getting what's, and looking at what Ecycles is also giving us with the whole big bucket thing at 256, there is a huge gap. So cut out the minutes that you'll be saving, times it by 1 minute animation, times it by 2 minutes animation, you're automatically saving over a whole day. And with the fact that, you know, some of these tools and some of these add-ons do have some things like persistent data. For example, Ecycles have something like that. It simply means that when you're working with things like animation where the camera is moving, you would actually get even way more time, or you can save way more time with tools like this. So this is more like it. And of course, I'd like to know what your thoughts are in the comment section. And if you like this video or you learned something from it, you can go ahead and give it a like. Meanwhile, before you turn off, look at the rest of the renders and tell me what you think about it in the comment section. And with that said, let the music play.